From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Another big jump in COVID-19 cases, especially here in Yellowstone County. But there is a reason for that. The state reported 3 new deaths and 175 new cases today. The highest number of cases, 75, coming from Yellowstone County. Riverstone Health tells us those new positives were from tests conducted August 1st through the 10th that didn't get reported then because of an error. Hospitalizations are also on the rise, going from 77 to 97. The total number of COVID-19 cases across the state is now at more than 5,300. Montana Governor Steve Bullock is making face masks a requirement for all schools and universities, both public and private, in counties that have 4 or more COVID-19 cases. The governor making that announcement in a news conference this afternoon, saying he's concerned about the safety of students and teachers as they head back to the classroom. The governor said there are 2 ways to get to phase 3, which is essentially normal. One with a vaccine, the other with Montanans acknowledging the risk and working collectively to mitigate it. And he says not everyone is doing that, pointing to Phillips County, where cases quickly went from 0 to 68 in a week's time.
It wasn't from a bunch of different folks bringing the virus in. It's from an adult sports activity, followed by an outing to the bar, and then events afterwards. Those other social events, county fairs, other things where the virus spreads among different social circles. An example, too, where we haven't learned how to live with the virus in our presence is following the requests of public health when it comes to quarantining and isolating. Learning to live with the virus in our presence means respecting that our public health officials, are working damn hard to try to protect all of us.
Governor Bullock also announced more help for businesses. A second payment of business stabilization grants will soon be available, and another grant for nonprofits is also being looked at. And the governor also announced the Montana Live Entertainment Grant Program to make help available for live entertainment venues such as concert halls. Those businesses, like the pub station here in Billings, have been hit hard with crowd limits put into place because of the pandemic. The governor will direct $10 million of coronavirus relief funds to the venues. Those businesses applying must have made 33% of their revenue last year from ticket sales of live events and be operating at less than 10% of last year's revenue.
We're a venue that has about 65% of our income come from ticket sales. We're in the business of gathering people, and for the foreseeable future, that is still not going to be possible with the restrictions on COVID, even with reducing our capacity. We go from an 800 capacity venue to 157 people, and that just isn't not financially viable for the artists that we've been bringing in, not to mention that no one's touring during COVID as well, because there's no way to actually get to Montana through other states.
Sean Lynch says the grants were designed to help through the second quarter of 2021. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon announced today that he'll ease restrictions on the size of outdoor gatherings beginning on Sunday. That order will allow outdoor gatherings of no more than 50% of venue capacity with a maximum of 1,000 people, as long as social distancing and increased sanitation measures are in place. Indoor gatherings in a confined space remain limited to 50 people without restrictions and 250 persons if social distancing and sanitation measures are not being able to use. Those restrictions that apply to restaurants, bars, and gyms will remain in place through August 31st. Well, more Billings students have enrolled in remote learning classes for the upcoming school year. This after the deadline for parents to choose either remote or in-person school was moved back to August 14th. Do the numbers match up with in regards to online teachers and students? Q2's Mitchell Legge brings us an update from the superintendent tonight.
As of Tuesday, about 2,000 Billings students are signed up to be distance learners in the upcoming school year, much less than the 5,000 originally predicted by the district earlier in the summer. Billings School District 2 Superintendent Greg Upham said Wednesday that the staff requests for distance learning are matching up with student needs.
We can accommodate the majority of our staff that have requested remote. Now, that being said, I won't know that until early next week. We are prepared after Friday night to be able to see if the licensure matches up with the students that have requested remote.
Of the 2,000 remote students, Upham said they average about 140 students per grade level in kindergarten through 12th grades. The district is in good shape as far as technology to hand out to those students learning at home. Upham said they ordered more devices earlier in the year and are waiting on shipping.
Now, that doesn't mean that we may need extra ones, but I'm not hearing anything from our people right now that we are concerned about any of our orders. We ordered a long time ago. And so now that doesn't mean to say that someone could call today at 11 o'clock and say, oh, by the way, your order's on back order. I mean, saying it out loud scares me, right? But I think we're okay for right now.
Parents have until Friday to decide whether their student will learn at home or in the traditional classroom for the entire year. Upham said the district will try to be flexible with schedule movement, but at the end of the day, flexibility comes down to class size attached to state accreditation.
If there are 30 social studies students in a classroom and that's accreditation standards, then we can't put 31 in. We will do our best to staff these class sizes so that we have some flexibility. But that being said, parents need to know that they need to get this completed as soon as possible. We'll do our best, but at some point in time, we will have to say yes or no.
In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Mitch. The district has plenty of information about reopening available on its website, including what the school day will look like for a remote learner. To find it, you can visit billingschools.org. The Billings Medicine Crow Middle School principal will get to keep her job after the school district conducted an investigation into racially charged Facebook posts. The investigation started in June after community members found posts attached to an account that Principal Nicole Hoffman used to post in school-related Facebook groups. Disciplinary measures include a written warning, ongoing non-discrimination training, and closer supervision from Hoffman's supervisor. Hoffman also sent out a letter of apology to parents and will work to regain trust in the community, according to Superintendent Greg Upham. The superintendent said that the Billings schools don't have a policy governing what staff can post on personal Facebook pages. He said that's an area for the district to improve on. Well, it's earlier than normal and it's being done a little differently, but it was back to school for many college students across Montana. Classes begin next Wednesday at the University of Montana, but move-in got underway this morning. The university is doing staggered check-ins this year in order to help with crowd control and social distancing. That's a big difference from years past when the school held one chaotic move-in day. For all students, the dorms, which normally can house 40 students to a floor, will now be capped at 30. Throughout the next couple of days, nearly 1,300 students will set up shop in one of the 8 residence halls. And over at Montana State University, it's already day 3 of move-in as students prepare to begin classes. Just like the University of Montana, MSU is doing a week-long move-in, and so far, everything has gone according to plan. University President Wydad Cruzado even stopped by today to welcome students to campus. She says she's hopeful that students and faculty will be able to get through the semester safely, but the university does have plans in place for students that may have to quarantine. Students will be able to move in until Sunday, August 16th, with classes beginning on Monday. And some new information to share if you have a student heading back to school who needs immunizations. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way that Riverstone Health is giving kids shots, but we're learning the option to move to appointments only is going smoothly. Karen Graff with Riverstone tells us in order to keep up with demand, more time slots for availability were recently added to ensure everyone gets helped.
Historically, we've had a large back-to-school vaccination time, and we've extended some of that now that we have to have individual appointments. We're not able to house those crowds of people, and so we are doing well with keeping up, and all those appointment slots are filled for today, but certainly give a call and we can get you in the next few days for shots for school.
And to learn more or schedule a time, you can visit riverstonehealth.org and scroll over to the Public Health and Preventing Disease drop-down link or call 247-3382. Up next on the MTN 530 News here on Q2, why the words "I do" mean more than ever to a 90-year-old couple who just tied the knot. And in sports, Scott hears from Bryce Stirk, the former MSU defensive end, now trying to make it as a tight end with the Miami Dolphins. But first, a look at what's coming up tomorrow on MTN.
Your mammogram comes back clear for cancer, but dense tissue gets in the way of a true diagnosis.
We're finding several cancers that have been hidden.
When this happens, 38 states require providers to notify patients, but not Montana.
I'd probably had that cancer longer than you think.
I'll show you how a lapse in our laws could be putting women's lives at risk.
MTN investigates dense diagnosis tomorrow at 5:30 on Q2.